Sean McVay opened up the Rams' Week 14 game against the Baltimore Ravens with 8 straight run plays. And in this video, we're going to break down that opening script and how they kept the Ravens defense guessing as they ran the ball up the field. First play of the game, we're going to get this swap between the Y and the F. So what we get here is a final formation of deuce left classy, and the final formation is really big in this offense because they have a ton of different ways to get to very similar looks, so they can throw off the defense pre-snap, shift into the same formation, and be able to run very similar plays. So ultimately the final formation here with deuce left classy. Deuce attaches the F backside, as in we get double tight here. Classy is a combination tag, number one, closer for the Z to put him in a wing position outside the tight end. And then we get the X in a tight split backside, nasty split 5 yards outside of the F right here. And what we're going to get is their version of duo, where the tight end is going to block out. Puka Nacua is going to insert inside, but also notice on the backside here, we're going to get an insert from Cup to go to the -1 linebacker to the strong safety number 14, Kyle Hamilton. That's important because we're going to come back to that look a little bit later on in this drive. Play 2, again, we're going to shift into a formation. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly what they call these formations. I wouldn't technically call it a bunch, because in a bunch, to me, the number 2 receiver should be the point man, whereas here it's the tight end and then we have 2 off outside of him. But we do get a similar look to the play before, especially once we take into account this fly motion that we're going to get from Cooper Kupp. And again, they're just going to run duo to the tight end and the Z side. So if we think about these first 2 plays, what we've got is essentially the same thing. We're going to get a duo run to the side of the Z and the tight end, and then we're going to get the F, Cooper Kupp, accounting for the backside linebacker, who we would call the -1. If you've seen my Mike ID video, then you know more of what that means. But remember, in the first play, he accounted for the -1 by inserting on the backside, and on this play, he's accounting for him through this fly motion. So to start the game, Sean McVay has called 2 duo runs to a 4-man surface with the F accounting for the -1. We can see Kupp go in motion here. Number 6 is widening out, duo to the strong side, and we've got 15 yards on 2 duo runs to start the game. This next clip starts a little bit late, so it's hard to tell exactly what the entire shift was, but look where we ended up, back in deuce left classy. The last play out of this formation was duo to the tight end wing side. We had Kupp inserting back on the backside for the -1 and Nacua inserting front side for the +2. And we're going to get a very similar play here, except instead of inserting on the backside, Cooper Kupp, he's just going to take the -1 where he's at. He's outside the box, so he can get to him without having to insert. They call that choke rules, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I call it in my version of this offense. So Kupp is responsible for the -1. If he's in the box, he's going to insert to him. If he's outside of the box, he can get to him by going outside the tackle here. But again, another duo run to the strong side. We got Z punch this time, so we got Nacua inserting there on the fold, as opposed to jab where they're blocking down like we saw on the last play. This video is sponsored by GameStrat. GameStrat is the most reliable sideline replay system on the market due to their wired connection from press box camera to router, which also speeds up loading times on the field. As football coaches, we spend all weekend breaking down film, and tendency reports are one of the biggest outcomes that have a large say in the game plan for that week. When game time rolls around, it can be difficult to ensure that an opponent is holding true to the scouting report. GameStrat offers in-game tendency reports based on a variety of data. Quickly discover if the opponent is playing into the game plan or if it needs adjusting with GameStrat. That's what I would have called bundle right tight on. This would be bundle left tight on, as far as how I would call it, on telling the tight end that he's on as opposed to the point man. And this is where the offense really starts to layer for McVay. So the last time we were in this formation, they ran duo strong behind a fly motion away from the play. And the duo strong has actually held true for the first 3 plays of the game. So what McVay's going to do here is he's going to present that same look to the defense. We're going to get Kupp on that fly motion to the weak side, but now instead of running duo strong, we're going to run outside zone weak. Look here at number 6. He hasn't expanded with the jet motion. So we run outside zone weak. They're beat at the point of attack. We slice it up the alley for a gain of 9 yards on 2nd and 6, fourth play of the game. So last time out of this formation, Cup ran the fly motion. Number 6, the backside linebacker here, expanded with them. They're a little bit different of a front. Maybe it's not his responsibility. He's got the A gap here, it looks like. The safety starts to roll down a little bit, but he doesn't fully commit to it like number 6 did on the last time they presented this look to the defense. So what do they have here? A linebacker that essentially blitzes himself out of the play when he gets hooked, an overscraping backside linebacker, a rotating down safety for the fly motion, and nobody left in the alley. One more time, because I love a good outside zone, watch number 20 here. He's going to take himself out of the play on the fly motion. Number 6 is going to blitz himself and get hooked by the center. Number 0 on a cross dog here, he's going to scrape over and get blocked out by the left guard. There's going to leave nobody home in the alley for Kyron Williams. And here we go. Nothing like a good over pursuit on the front side. A great read cut back here by Kyron Williams on the 4th play of the game. Next play, again, we've got Cup and the tight end swapping here. I wouldn't necessarily call this deuce right classy. This looks more north to me. Looks to me like the X is just in a little bit tighter than he normally is right here. So this to me would be north right closer, but a very similar idea. We've shifted, we traded the tight end in the F here for a 4-man surface, and the F, Cooper Kupp, working as that second tight end to create a 3-man surface on the opposite side. Going to be Puka on the fly motion here. It's a great job by Sean McVay to get him on that fly motion to hold the play side support player just long enough for the receiver to be able to dig him out. And that's going to create essentially 6-on-6 outside zone in the box. So what we should get here is Alaric Jackson matching the defensive end out. He knows because he's so wide, he's not going to reach him, so he needs to just get inside of him, because Kupp's going to be coming all the way back across the line for the backside support player. I still call that choke. For me, choke is you've got the -1 no matter where he's at, no matter where you're at, that's your guy. And with Nakua on the fly motion back this way, because we've got one coming one way and a receiver coming the other way, the linebackers are just going to stay in the gap that they're in. Like I mentioned a minute ago, the fly motion is going to hold Kyle Hamilton just long enough for Tutu Atwell to be able to dig him out. And then because there's so much eye candy, not only are the linebackers going to stay in their gaps, they're also going to be playing up a little slower. Now up front, we essentially have 6 for 6. We've got a 4-2 box running at the B gap bubble. Again, Alaric Jackson matching the defensive end out. That should create one wall here. And then because he knows he doesn't need to help, Steve Avila should be able to play really thick on the 2-eye right here, get help from the center, and work up to the +1 right here. That should give us the second wall here for our alley. Should get a great run through the B-gap bubble here, but the center gets overpowered a little bit on his reach here, and so the nose is able to make this tackle, but still a 3-yard gain, nothing to snuff at on 1st and 10. So let's set the scene for this play. We've seen this formation twice already. We've seen fly motion 3 times already. The first time it was well adjusted to, and each time after that, it's dropped off in the amount of attention that the defense has paid to it. So we're giving a formation the defense has seen. We've given them the fly motion a couple times. They're starting to not take the bait anymore. That means we've got to hand it off. We're going to get a 6-yard gain here on 2nd and 7. Going to put us in a great 3rd and short scenario. 7th play of the drive, we've gone duo, outside zone, jet sweep. Now it's 3rd and 1. We haven't shifted, but we're in a very, very similar formation. To me, this is a lot closer to north right closer than to deuce right classy, just because the X to me looks a little bit tighter. But either way, we've got our 4-man surface, we've got our 3-man surface on the other side with our X close enough to be involved in the blocking surface. On 3rd and short, it's time for the Rams base run, time for duo. Make sure we pick up that yard. We get a 2-yard gain on 3rd and 1 for a new set of downs. 1st and 10, and we get south left clamp. Now this is a really similar formation to one that the Rams have motioned from at earlier points in the game, except here we have a clamp side instead of a closer side between the Z and the Y here, so that puts the Z on, the Y off. But other than that, this is the formation that they were giving when the Kupp would come over to create that 3-man bunch-ish formation. So it's not going to be strange when they see Kupp go in motion here, except this time it's not a shift, it's a motion, and they snap the ball while he's in motion and get a penalty on top of it to boot. We see a little more adjustment here to the motion from the defense. I think Hamilton's really more so trying to just time the snap up than actually trying to kill the fly motion, but we can see the safety start to rotate down a little bit. But we're going to get outside zone going the other way. They play it really well, get the backside linebacker free here. I would have liked to see Avila get a little faster with his left hand to the shoulder here of the 3 technique, just to make sure he's not able to cross his face, so he can be sure to get up to the backside linebacker here. Because if it wasn't for the penalty that they're going to get, this would put them in 2nd and 8, which for Sean McVay is going to be a huge throwing down, and it's going to stop all this momentum we've got running the ball to start the game. All right, next play, we've got deuce right chunk. Now, chunk is very similar to Classy. We've got the tight split from the X backside, but instead of a closer side for our 4-man surface, we have a clamp side, so the Y is off and the Z is on. And they pulled the Y off so he can be the motion man. We've got spirit motion duo here, 1st and 10 for an 11-yard gain after a penalty. Looking at the end zone view, I really like how this fits up against this front with the B-gap bubble. So knowing Sean McVay, it's very intentional exactly where Kupp is at right here on the hash, knowing that this defensive end is going to be out in an inside shade over Kupp. So Alaric Jackson has tons of room to get up and make sure that he can seal that linebacker in. Spirit motion here is going to come kick out the edge defender, and Kupp has just enough time to get underneath Kyle Hamilton here to create a huge alley for a duo play right there with the open B gap. So here we go again, tons of room for the left tackle to get up there. Fantastic job getting 11 yards on a duo play. That is not very common. Great run here on 1st and 10 after the penalty. So going back here just to really look at the epitome of this drive, we've got deuce left Classy right here, and they ran almost everything out of a formation just like this. The X maybe was a couple yards tighter. Maybe the Z was on and the Y was off, especially for our spirit motion there. Maybe the F shifted over here and fly motioned back that way. But everything came from a base of this formation right here. The Rams essentially ran 2 plays. They ran outside zone and duo. They kind of faked their inside zone on the jet sweep there. But this just goes to show that when the correct runs are paired with the correct presentations to a defense, that not even the best defenses in the league can handle it. And not that I'm against it, but the Rams didn't even pull an offensive lineman in this drive. Once the Rams got in the red zone, McVay called 3 straight passes that fell incomplete, and they sent the field goal kicking unit out on the field. And while this video may have been about the run game, my newest CoachTube course on adapting the passing game from the Shanahan-McVay offense to the high school level has just dropped. You can check it out in the link in the description down below. One of the runs we saw a lot in this video was duo, and if you want to learn more about the different ways that the Rams ran duo in 2023, watch this next video.